a pumpkin that's undamaged and has a nice big and sort of flat front section. One of my pumpkins got damaged on the way home and it started molding a little bit, but that's okay. I'll just make sure that I cut that part away. Put down some newspapers and grab a bowl because it's about to get messy. I've got a special pumpkin carving set which works great, but for many years all I used was a simple kitchen knife. The first step is to cut out the top. Decide what will be the front and carve a V on the opposite side. This will help align the cap when you put it back on. Now cut all the way around the top. Cut at a 45-degree angle to give the cap a nice surface to rest on. Pull the cap off and start removing the insides by scooping and scraping with a spoon. Don't be afraid to use your strength here. The pumpkin can take it and the stringy insides can be pretty tough. Thin out the wall by scraping the soft inside layer away. I usually scrape the front a lot more because a thinner wall there will make the carving easier and allow more light to shine through. Also, it's a good workout. And now we can start carving. The simplest way to carve a pumpkin is to simply draw on a design with a pencil and then cut it out. I'm going for a Jack Skellington face here, but of course you can do whatever you want. When carving, start with the smaller holes. The big holes will weaken the pumpkin, so once those are cut, you'll have to be more careful and use less force. For very small holes, like the nostrils here, it's good to carve at an angle so that the hole on the inside is larger than the hole on the outside. This allows more light to come through and it will look much better. I didn't need it this time, but if you accidentally cut off a section that you shouldn't, you can use a toothpick to stick it back in place. Finally, I like to come back with the kitchen knife to clean up all of the edges. If you want a more complicated design, you can print it out and transfer it to the pumpkin. For a two-tone design, first decide which sections will be cut away entirely or will only have the top layer peeled away. Tape the paper to the pumpkin and use a needle to make holes that follow the design. Remove the paper and connect the holes with a pencil, referring back to the picture when necessary. Start carving with the sections that will only be peeled. Trace the outline with the knife and then start cutting away the top layer towards the cut. This will give you nice clean edges. The deeper you cut, the more light will shine through. Try to keep an even depth to get a similar color throughout, or play with varying depths to get a gradient effect. Finally, cut out the holes that go all the way through. Again, I angled the cuts to allow more light to come through. For the eyes that wasn't possible from the outside, so I carved away some material from the inside. When you're done, it's a good idea to disinfect your pumpkin so that they last a bit longer. For me, I'll wash them in water with a little bit of bleach, and then I rinse them afterwards and dry them. And that's all there's to it. Now you can put a candle or a lamp inside and enjoy your work. When using a candle, don't leave the top on for longer than it takes to take a nice picture though. It will dry out and get black, and it could even burn.
And we're going to start with teeth or fangs. So take your pumpkin and draw on a design. Hollow it out and carve out the face. You can see I've cut out a nice big hole for the mouth. Next, we're going to take the offcut from the mouth and using a sharp knife, carefully cut out fangs, like this. Next, we need to take our fangs and push a cocktail stick in the end. Snap the end off so it's a bit shorter, and we should have something which looks like this. And finally, start arranging the fangs in the mouth. Pretty cool, huh? A slightly different way to do teeth is cut them into the pumpkin as you're carving out the face. Then, using a sharp knife, carefully cut underneath the skin and peel it off. Go around all the teeth and you should have something which looks like this. Next, we're going to look at using the pumpkin stem for a nose. So take your pumpkin, turn it on its side and draw on a face. Then turn your pumpkin around and cut open a lid at the back. Hollow it out and then we can start to carve the face. For this one, we're going to cut the skin around the eyes and carefully peel it off. It should look like this. Then cut out the mouth and using the same technique, peel off the skin in front of the teeth. Next, we're going to carve out each tooth until you have something which looks like this. Then, using some black acrylic paint, we're going to paint in the eyes. Good looking fella, isn't he? Now for something a little different. Take the pumpkin, cut off the top and hollow it out. Then, using a hand drill, we're going to drill a series of holes in no particular pattern around the entire pumpkin. Don't forget to do the lid. Clean it up and it should look like this. Next, take a piece of wire, this was an old coat hanger, and hook it into one of the holes in the pumpkin. Loop it around to the other side and thread it through a hole opposite. Take the lid off and make sure the wire is bent around so the pumpkin won't fall off. We now have a hanging pumpkin lantern. Put some candles inside, dim the lights, and you've got your very own pumpkin mirror ball. And finally, take an orange ping pong ball and then using a black or red marker pen, draw on a pumpkin face. Then use a pencil to draw lines all the way around the ball to give it a pumpkin effect, like this. Now we're going to make it light up using an LED keyring. First, open up the keyring and take out the LED and batteries. Then take the LED to the batteries like this. And bend the LED so it's upright. Fit the ball onto the LED. Dim the light